Welcome to the Grappling Grappling Rewind Podcast.
Welcome to this week on the Grappling Rewind Podcast. On this week's show, we are going to preview Team Polaris versus Team WNO on Polaris 35. We are also going to recap the 2026 IBJJF European Championship. As always in the show, I'm your host, Mange, my co-host.
Corey.
How you doing, Corey?
I'm doing all right, bro. Trying to stay warm over here in these parts, bro.
Yeah.
It's snowing a lot.
Yeah.
It snowed a lot yesterday, but this is cold today.
So
it's freezing.
If you've noticed already by the audio quality, it has taken a hit this week. We are doing it remote. Entirety of Baltimore is snowed in, and because they do not have the plowing infrastructure, literally everyone's stuck at the house, including Miranda. So the entire team is stuck on the house. We got Corey in kind of last minute. You kind of came in to save the show. We're gonna do it fast and loose with this. So again, apologies if the audio takes a giant hit this week. We should be back to normal next week, pending the plowing hits. I know that it's probably colder where you are, but it impacts Baltimore pretty heavily when it snows over a foot. So here we are. Let's kick it off. There was some news that happened this week, but it's been very snowy. We've been shoveling a lot. My dog is not a fan. So let's kick it right off with who's number one. Polaris 35, Polaris versus who's number one. That is going to throw me off every time that we have to talk about it. This is a squads event, a little bit smaller teams from each promotion, but we also have two featured super fights here. We have Levi Jones-Leary making a return to Polaris after a little bit. I don't think he's been on Polaris in a while, versus Davis Asare, also has not been on Polaris in a little bit. And we have a women's bantamweight bout, Adele Fornarino versus Selma Vik. So it should be a phenomenal matchup. Really, really excited. This will always be the first event that Polaris has on FloGrappling. So they're moving off of FightPass on FloGrappling. I hope the production stays the same, but we will see. Corey, where do you want to start with this? Do you want to start with the Team Polaris versus the team who won, or start with these super fights? Also, FYI, I sprung us previewing Polaris onto Corey probably about 4.5 minutes before we started recording. I was like, hey, we're going to do full Europeans recap. Also, Polaris versus who's number one is coming on. He's like, let's for sure do that. So,
let's do it, man. I'm a purple belt. I can handle it. Let's go. I'm a purple belt, bro.
So where do you want to start? Where do you want to start today?
Let's start with let's start with the teams. Start with the teams, because that's a little bit more kind of interesting per se, because we kind of don't know who's going to be fighting against who. So not to mention, there's a lot more going on there. I guess a lot more potential matches going on.
Yeah, the squads are always fun, man. The squads are honestly an event that I'd love to get the team together for. So we might actually have folks over for that if the snow melts in time, which it actually might not for this one. Team Polaris roster. I'm going to run through them real quick, and then we'll go through accolades, and then we'll do team who's number one. Team Polaris, Santeri Lilius. We have Owen O'Flanagan. We have Luccas Kanard. We have Taylor Pearman. We have Owen Jones and Meyram Maquine. That is an absolutely stacked roster for the Polaris side. From top to bottom, we have Santeri Lilius, the trials guy. Man, we know him for years. I think until this last trials, he was undefeated at ADCC trials, like I think 2 trials in a row or 3 trials in a row. Like, hadn't taken a loss in the ADCC rule set, I think, until this last trials, which is just, phenomenal. Dude is incredibly hard to put away, incredibly hard to score on in the rule set. I forget, Corey, do you remember who beat him at trials? It was one of the big name guys that was in his weight class finally. It wasn't Joseph Chen, wasn't Taza. I'm just blanking on who it was, but it was a big name guy.
I'm blanking too.
Yeah. So Santeri's in here. Always just a monster. Like, the other thing about that Santeri is he's just super hard to beat. He's just incredibly hard to beat, and everyone always looks at him as like, yeah, you can beat him, but it is incredibly difficult to do, and it's never going to be like clean. Next, we have Owen O'Flanagan. Tall, leg locker, primarily at 88 kilograms.
Also tough to put away.
Yeah,
just a dog.
We saw him in the last squads versus Taza, and they had that weird restart that he just taps on the restart specifically so that he didn't get the highlight reel on the sub. And I loved him to be so petty about that. It was like, I respect that. That's really funny. Owen Flanagan is just an absolute monster. Go back and watch his previous squads events, his earlier trials runs back in 2022. Even before that, his ADCC match with Wagner, where he breaks Wagner's foot, and then Wagner doesn't tap and looks at him like, cool, let's keep going. Just a dude that's definitely about it. Lucas Kanard, big claim to fame. Giant killer. Victor Hugo. Hugo, CJI won. Got that heel hook day one, took out Victor Hugo, which then essentially allowed Nicky Rod to take the entire thing because Hugo was the only guy that in that tournament that could beat him. He looked good at CJI too. We see him occasionally. I think we saw him in the he didn't have to do the Jaws trials. He was already on that team for Team Australasia and Oceania. Kanard, just a big, strong leg locker. We have Taylor Pearman, who Austin is going to get on me every time I say his name wrong. Known for tapping Bodoni in a very controversial match at CJI. Also, every time he does trials, heel hooking everyone, essentially.
I still think he tapped Bodoni. I'm going to hang my hat on there. I'm not going to give it up. He tapped. Bodoni tapped.
So, Taylor Pearman, again, he's a guy that is just incredibly dangerous for those heel hooks on your legs. Owen Jones, a little bit more of the same. Going to be the smallest guy in this team. Actually, maybe Meyram is actually smaller than Owen. I don't remember when they...
Yeah, I think Meyram might be smaller.
When they went against each other, it was in the gi. It was BJJ Stars. Wasn't that long ago. I want to say it was like in the last month and a half or 2 months because I was down there in Atlanta and got a chance to train with Owen, and then that matchup had not happened yet. And I was in Atlanta, I think in September.
Was it early December?
No, it was a little cooler. I forget when I was in Atlanta. I should know this. I forgot when I was in Atlanta. But it was the weekend after, 2 weeks after CJI, or it was the week after Polaris squads. So it was the week after he was on the squads event. So whatever week that was. But Owen Jones, fastest sub of ADCC in 2024. Super great guy at 66 kilos, has a recent win over Gavin Corbe at the last Who's Number One. That will play a factor here as Gavin's on the other team, so there's a potential rematch there for that one. Just all in all, incredible grappler on the smaller side. I think he was also at CJI. Phenomenal to have. And then Meyram. Meyram has a win over Owen Jones recently in the gi. Meyram, just go back and watch Meyram's BJJ Stars matches, man. And his IBJJF matches are good too, but his BJJ Stars matches are something else, man. You can just see the pace that he puts on guys. His match with Baby Shark looks phenomenal. Beats Baby Shark pretty cleanly at BJJ Stars.
Not easy to do. That's not easy to do, and very, very few have done that.
Yes.
Very few.
So that is a very quick run through of the Polaris roster for the squads. The squads events, I'm going to run through the rules real quick. They're really cool. What they do is they're 2 45-minute periods. I don't know, given that the teams are a little bit smaller here. I think usually it's 4 and 4. This looks like 3 and 3. So given that the teams are a little bit smaller, I could be just completely wrong about that as well. I'm curious if they're going to do the 90-minute format, that 45 minutes, then the break intermission, and then the 45 minutes again. Generally speaking, squads is one of the best paced events that we ever cover. Like, Polaris really nails it and knocks it out of the park with it. There's good matches. There's great mismatches that result in subs and highlight reels, so it's a lot of fun. On team, Who's Number One? We have Declan Moody, was out of the B team. I think he's not. Is he out of Simple Man now? Do you know? Is he still out of that?
I don't know. I don't know. I haven't really seen him compete since CJI 2.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know if he's still fighting out of Simple Man, i.e. B team or what, or if he's doing something else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, phenomenal Australian grappler. Good gun. One of the big guys that can actually play the bottom.
Very athletic.
Yeah,
kind of good, kind of great at everything. He'd be definitely a heavy leg locker, but he's good everywhere though.
Yeah, we've seen him do some nice topside arm triangles and stuff. Like, he's always surprised me with just how athletic he is for a big guy. And I keep saying that over and over again, but the big guys just gotten athletic in ways they didn't used to be, and I'm still not over it yet. But yeah, Declan falls firmly in that camp. We have Luccas Lira, Maggie Grandotti's husband, has looked really good on the UFC cards, on UFC Invitational, and now UFC BJJ. We've seen him on Who's Number One before. He's had hit and miss performances there. He's been doing really well in the no-gi scene for IBJJF. I think in the gi scene as well. Like, overall, very, very strongly on the come up. Really great to have him on this team. We have Devhonte Johnson. Again, just another guy that is incredibly hard to get past. He's a guy that you kind of can lull into a slower-paced match, and can kind of give matches away, with an intermittent frequency, but you're probably not going to put Devhonte away. And he's in a lot of matches, he does enough, and especially with the new decision criteria for Polaris squads, I'm not sure if they're going to keep that or not, but with that criteria, you kind of wonder if he can sort of just continually do enough and be hard enough to manage for a round or 2 rounds before he gets a little tired, to just put points on the board for his team. So,
it's funny you said that, because a lot of times we'll get on Devhonte for not being as explosive consistently as he could be, kind of more just kind of like a slow grinder, but he's still a very, very tough out. Even when he's slowing his game down, he's a very, very a very tough out. I mean, he'll take his time getting to you. Potentially, sometimes he'll slow his game down, and you kind of like, hey, Devhonte, you waiting for that really this moment that he just kind of just flashes. But he's a very tough out for anyone. So very rarely do you see him, at least the past couple of years, very seldom do you see see someone take him out quickly, if at all.
Yeah, it happens, but it's super intermittent. He's kind of on that same side as Santeri, of just like just consistently really hard to get through, with just a level of consistency that is frustrating if you're on the other side of him. Chris Wojcik, ADCC, I want to say 3rd place. I could be 4th place. I always mess up his medal placing at ADCC 2024. The Wojcik. He is dangerous on your feet. That's where he wants.
He'll take your leg home with him, bro.
Yeah,
your leg might be here if you don't watch it.
I mean, I really want to see his matchup with Taylor Pearman. That would be really exciting in this format. I'm not sure if they've gone against each other before, but like just that sort of clash of styles. Both guys are 88. I think Chris is at 88, and I don't think he's 77. He's always bigger than I think he is, and so is Taylor. But if they're both about the same weight class, they both want a really not a similar thing. They want very different leg locks in different ways, but they're both very, very funneled down into their best stuff on the legs, and it'll be really interesting to see how that basically stylistic matchup plays out between Chris Wojcik and Taylor. With I think Chris is still at Simple Man. I don't know. Again, I need to get a new roster for the guys that are at B Team still or Simple Man still, and the guys that have left, because I still have that team as the team circa like 2024, like CJI era, and when it was still B Team. And I know a lot of guys have kind of moved in and out of it, and I just don't have a solid team roster like I used to in the lead up for ADCC.
And also with that matchup, I agree Pearman might be a good look, but I'm interested to see if he goes against Luccas Kanard and Eoghan O'Flanagan, because they're both pretty good leg lockers as well. So
yeah, and they're bigger. They both
definitely have different ways of setting up the games, and they're bigger. Yeah. But I think when Chris competed in CJI too, he might have come down in weight a little bit, because I think he's not really a small guy.
No,
so he might be bigger than what we think he is.
Yeah, I always want to make him 77. I think he's always 88, and he for some reason his division in ADCC 2024, because we had all of that movement so close to the tournament, we did a bunch of our preview work much in advance, and then CGI 2 got announced, and then a bunch of guys and names shifted, and people got shifted all around until very, very late in the event, and it just threw off so much of the prep work that we had done in a lot of the athlete, like who's here, who's where, who's going against who, what tournament, that for some reason I just cannot get 77 to 88 kilos right anymore, because there was so much movement. And he's unfortunately one of the guys that I just consistently get wrong with.
Oh yeah. I mean, plus you have a lot of these like these competitions where you'll have a lot of guys who might be naturally the same weight, but someone might suck down to get into the lower weight, to the weight class. Someone might bulk up to get into the bigger one. Depends on who they want to line up against and who they want to line up with. So it just changes sometimes. But I think he's naturally a bigger guy. So I would definitely agree with you. I think he might be normally an 88.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
We'll see their weights again come come Saturday. Also,
Yep.
for the team who's number one, we have both Corbe brothers. We have Gavin Corbe, who I just got the interview out finally we did at ADCC Trials. At the end of the interview, he alludes to something. He's like, I got a big matchup coming up, and this is the matchup. He said, end of January, this is the matchup he was alluding to, and it was cool to be able to actually finally fix all the audio. I've almost got the interviews out, man. They have been a nightmare to fix the audio for, but I'm going to get them all out because the athletes gave me their time, and I appreciate it. And there's some cool interviews there. But I got Gavin's out before this, and he talked about it. Him and his brother, Deandre, who's also on the card as well on the same team who's number one, are opening up a gym in Virginia Beach.
Ooh,
so they have just announced.
Nice.
I think it's Black Box Grappling or something. I think that was the name. It's something like that.
Okay.
But it's really cool to see those guys, start to go through and open up a gym. So again, and his brother Deandre, arguably the more accomplished of the two of them, even though Gavin has been on a tear recently. ADCC Trials winner, Nogi world champ, maybe. I think he's Nogi world champion. Deandre is very, very good. Go and watch the match with him and his brother when he wins Trials. It's an exciting matchup to watch. Again, it's a couple years ago, but it's always the match from the same tournament. Always the match I kind of point to because it is just a fun, very, very odd match for both of them in like the quarterfinals of Trials that year. So
I tell you what, man. Either way, that's gonna be a pretty kick-ass fucking event.
Yeah,
I
man.
mean, both teams are stacked. It can go either way.
Dude, that's one of the things I love about Polaris for these squads events is they just get really hard hitters, and because of how wild the matchups can be for squads and how they get picked out, like they have that feeling of the old quintet events where it was like stacked roster, stacked lineups, set format, set amount of time, and relatively quick pacing. And so there's like next match. Even a bad match isn't that long. And it also, if you watch them live in the context of the event, those bad matches or the matches that are slower, maybe less exciting, have real weight as far as like the scoring goes for the event. It's like, hey man, yeah, there's strategic reason that you put, boom in front of Devhonte so that like you could get him out of like you want to eat as much time off the clock because you guys are up, and it just makes the athletes play a little bit differently, and the team format makes all of the matches engaging for their own reasons. So again, I'm a big fan of just what these guys are doing with the squads event, and they keep iterating on them. They keep making minor changes to the squads event. We've had some issues with them before, but man, overall they're very, very exciting to watch, and I love that the pacing's good on them. And they are on like a midday Saturday. They're not at 1 a.m. on a Saturday. So should be great.
Yeah, exactly. Or 11 p.m. here.
At 11 p.m. walkout, you're like, man, I want to go to bed, my guy. It's exciting. I care about the title fights, but dude, it's too late for grappling, man. So let's talk about anything else on the team events. Again, all of these matchups could be good. There's really none of these matchups that I'm like, it's going to kind of be boring. So that is always exciting. We have a squads event. Any other kind of closing thoughts on the two rosters of guys before we move into the super fights?
No, I'm just excited.
Yep.
It can go either way. Very excited.
Let's move on to Levi Jones-Leary versus Davis Asare. I think the last time we saw Asare, he was on a squads event or on a something and missed weight and got pulled out. And so now...
Was it Aiga? Was it an Aiga event?
I think it was. I thought it was a Polaris.
Could have been Polaris.
It could have been Aiga, but
You're
it was something. It was something major, and it'll be. We haven't seen him in a minute. He's looking really good in the ADCC Opens and what we're seeing on him. We didn't see him do the last trials. I don't think we saw him do the last trials. Would have been European trials because he's Norwegian. He goes against Levi Jones-Leary, the Australian. You called this out in the pre-show, and I thought it was interesting. You're like, both guys get to play where they want to play.
Yeah, A game against A game. From what I know about Asare, he's for the most part top guy. You know what I mean? Yeah. Attacking from the top, and we know Levi Jones-Leary, he loves playing guard. He loves attacking from the bottom. So
he wants to bolo you into the next dimension, and he has won a lot of money over the course of his career doing that. I'm going to pick Levi Jones-Leary here. Again, we haven't seen Davis Asare in a little bit in something this big, and so you kind of got to wonder like where he's at as a result of like, hey man, we haven't seen him in a minute. Like, how does he look?
What belt is he? My first question was like,
he's
is he
brown
black
still?
belt? Yeah.
I thought he was brown.
Right,
He might be
right.
black, but I think he's still brown. But it doesn't. When you get to the upper level of nogi, it really doesn't matter anymore. So
Very true, very true. But it just with that experience, I mean, Levi Jones-Leary has been in the spotlight, on
been
that
a
on
black
that
belt
elite
forever,
level
and a
for
world champion level guy for 15,
man.
15 years, probably like 10 years now at this point. I remember him winning Spider in 2018. He won the $100,000 tournament.
And
Him
with
and
Asare
Morgella.
being a young guy, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, young guy. Dave Asare might be. Is it kind of like almost like, hey, old guy versus young guy?
I
I
think
don't say old guy, but
for some
older
reason I
guy
think
versus
Asare is
younger
like
guy.
31. I don't know why I think he's like that old.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know why I think he's that old. I could be wrong about that. It could be like 24. But I have Levi Jones-Leary taking this.
31, 24, somewhere around in
Somewhere
there.
around there. Younger. I know he's younger than me. I know that.
Definitely younger than me. Yeah.
I think that Levi's going to take this. I think we'll have Levi from the bottom. I think Asare will, again, throw heavy passes at him. But I think eventually Levi will be able to get something going. We'll be able to get a foot grip, a hook, and then start getting something going.
All right. I know we saw Dave Asare last. Wasn't it on the UFC BJJ show? The very first one? Leading up to Mikey's event. Wasn't he in that team?
Yeah,
He was on
you're
that
right.
team. He was in that.
He might have been on that one.
Sorry to
That's-
disturb you. I'm sorry to
No, that
interrupt
was
you.
good.
You were talking, but it just hit me like boom. That's why I saw him last, I think, was on that show.
Yeah, that sounds right.
But he may have competed since then.
I don't think we've covered him on a major event since that one. So that I think would be the most recent one in my eyes that he's competed on. So yeah, good poll there. I have Levi Jones-Leary taking it. If it's the Polaris format, I don't think we're gonna do rounds for this one. I don't know what the super fights are anymore for Polaris offhand. If it's rounds, I think both of them lean Levi for different reasons. I think that the rounds, Davis has a better shot, but we've also seen, if I remember correctly, Davis got super, super tired really quickly in the last time we saw him.
Yes.
He's right there on UFC Beach, and we were surprised just how overwhelmingly tired he got. And I'm concerned if this match is a longer match, title fights, Polaris, 15-minute match. If it's 3 rounds as a super fight, if Asare will have fixed that problem or not, or if Levi will be able to eventually sort of give Asare the storm and then just be able to take him over in a later round or in a later section of the match. So for me, this is kind of a new benchmarking for where Asare is. I think Levi, there's really in my eyes, no reason to bet against Levi Jones-Leary in a format like this.
Yeah, I think there's no way to bet against him. He went 5 rounds with Cade, you know what I mean, in CJI 1.
I think
so
3. Was it 5?
He definitely had.
You and I always go back and forth on this, and we should.
I think that title fight was 5. I think it was 5 rounds they did, but it could be 3. I mean, I thought it was 5.
We should.
It seemed like 5.
We should know this. I know that Andrew Tackett versus Cade was 3. So, anything else on this one?
No.
Next one, we have a rematch.
It was 10 rounds. Didn't they go 10? Wasn't it 10 rounds?
It should have been. Andrew Tackett and Cade. Like they would have gone all 10, and it would have been awesome.
Yes, it would have.
They needed a provision for that. Next one, we got Adele Fornarino versus Selma Vik. I think this is a rematch. I want to say that Adele. Let me actually look this up. If you can fill for time.
Selma Vik. So I want to say maybe. I think this may be a rematch. I could be wrong. Either way, it wouldn't surprise me if Adele took this one.
I think she takes it by quick footlock, exactly the same way that we saw her take Worlds.
I mean, she seems like she's back on that grind again, man. I mean, she's really been on a tear. There's only been a couple of events that she's kind of like you look at it and go, wow, I wonder. But for the most part, man, she's been solid for the past year to year and a half.
Other than running into Crevar and Fionn.
I mean, Carrar's is different, bro.
But that's what I mean. Like, other than running into 2 women who outsize her, like by a fair bit, in Crevar at CGI 2, and with Fionn, who kind of like that is they both just have a weird style matchup, and it was a relatively inactive match. Anyone that's not those 2 women, man, I'm just gonna pick Adele by footlock. She looked phenomenal. I mean, she's Nogi Worlds or Gi Worlds in like 16 seconds with the foot. Just bop, takes it down, finishes. It was Nogi Worlds because it was recently. Like she pops back into the IBJJF and immediately looks back like she did in ADCC 2024. Again, now I'm happy we get to see her again for ADCC. She's now the open weight champion and the under 55 kilo champion. So it'll be really, really exciting to see her back. But I'm gonna pick Adele by a quick footlock just because she looks like she is back pending that Nogi Worlds performance or looking at the Nogi Worlds.
I see no reason not to pick her because she's just Adele. You know what I mean? She can win any given match she's in. So
it's like we're starting to
she loses very infrequently.
We're starting to make the Gordon pick. It's like Misa Bastos. Okay, pick Bastos. Adele, pick Adele. Fasana, pick us. It's Tynan
Misa, though, you might not want to pick one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Might say for Euros though, which is a good lead-in for Euros. You might want to pick Misa for those for that finals match.
You want to start with the women, so that does it for the preview for Polaris 35. I can't wait. I really hope that it goes well with the transition over to Flo. They've been on Fight Pass for 10 years. I really loved them on Fight Pass. I hope the new broadcast partner in Flo, it's more of the same. So I'm looking forward to it. Let's move on to the 2026 IBJJF European Championships. Corey, you want to start with the men's divisions or the women's divisions? Where do you want to start?
Well, I say start with the women's. Let's start with the women's.
Let's start with the women's divisions.
Ladies first, right?
Ladies first. Roosterweight, Meyram Bastos versus Theis Loreno. My note for this says Meyram Bastos. That is my full note. She takes it again. 2-point win. It's close, but it is
actually Meyram loses this.
Oh, that was correct in my note. Hold up.
Meyram lost.
I moved that note like an idiot. She loses by 2 points.
Yeah, she does. She loses by 2.
That's why. Okay. Because I had my notes.
It was pretty much like an early. She got swept pretty early, and then from that point on, it was just kind of like gridlock. You know what I mean? It was pretty much not stalemated, but it was a slow grinding match.
It was a slow grind that Meyram couldn't get back. Sorry, there was issues with the broadcast for this one, where there's like no commentary. We're getting pieces of the Portuguese commentary, and it's kind of glitchy. And I had my notes, and then I went back through before we started the show, and I redid my notes. I was like, I have Bastos losing this, and I just flipped it, and then deleted it, and I was like, that can't be right.
Yeah, she lost, man. She lost.
Yeah,
2-0.
Crazy.
It was kind of for the most part. Was it Theis?
That's
Did I
so
say her
funny.
name? Theis.
That I flipped the
Theis
it again. Yeah, Theis.
Theis pretty much. It was pretty much. She was like top for the majority of the fight, and Bastos was in the bottom for the majority of it.
And Bastos couldn't sweep. And Bastos usually gets a sweep going or gets something going, but that was really.
And she got close to sweeping her, but I think they ended up out of bounds, so they brought her back into the match. They reset. Yeah,
but it was good. Again,
that was pretty much the match. Mm-hmm. Yeah, very close margin. It was a close fight, so she didn't get blown out. It was a squeaker. Yeah, but not very eventful. I guess you can kind of say.
Let's move on to the lightweight division. Not the lightweight. Oh snap! I have this listed as lightweight, and I think it's listed. I think it should be listed as light featherweight. We have Ashley Fungera. My notes are all over the place this quarter. Do you have who Fungera was against here? My notes are all jumbled up right now. This is why I love remote shows, because we have, for just while Corey looks at the actual results here, we have recording over here, that camera recording. We're in a meeting. That meeting's being recorded here. And so generally the real estate, and the show's being recorded, generally the real estate we have for the screens is recording, notes, other stuff. It is not 3 separate recordings and a recording of the same time to try to get the show put out. So my notes get a little bit bungled up in trying to do this.
All right, light feather, we have Fungera versus Modish.
Okay.
Josephine Modish.
Okay. Man, Fungera's transition here from the armbar, and then I thought she was going to get this. You saw she worked on the grip. She looked super calm when she had this armbar, and I was like, "Oh, is she gonna just yank the armbar out?" And then she sees something with the defense, and she goes, "No," goes right to mount, and then later comes up and gets it done. But it was just like we've watched the Fungera twins, and all 3 of them actually, through the color belts. So I've watched her like off and on a little bit. This was a really, really impressive victory, and I'm very, very excited to see what what she does at black belt. Now that she's like a newer black belt. I think this is her first Europeans at black.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah, at AOJ. So
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, I think she is. I think she's a new black belt.
Beautiful transition game though, and like very, very impressive. Anything else on it?
No.
Next, we got Cassia Mora versus Larissa Campos. Cassia takes this one, man. Points an advantage. This is sort of classic Cassia Mora, pretty aggressive in the front, moving forward over Larissa, gets the sweep, gets the points, and then takes it, man. It's her first European title at black belt, I think. And it would not surprise me to see more of these throughout the year and see her take another world title.
I think for the most part, the match was basically sweep, and it was for the most part, Casemiro from the top trying to pass, and she really couldn't pass. It was one of those things. It was like strength versus strength. So, but she was on attack mode the entire time.
Yeah, really aggressive.
So it wasn't a boring match, but it was one of those matches where it was like it was
not high scoring.
It was a match of inches. Not high scoring, match of inches. Once again, it was only 3 sweeps.
One of the things I did like about it is we consistently see a lot of the times we'll see athletes get really good and like have a lot of success, and they'll kind of funnel themselves into a small collection of things that they do. I like that we saw Cassia Mora trying to pass at range, trying to pass outside, inside. Like we saw her. Yeah. She has a nice dynamic range of passes that she will work towards, and she will not just like, I'm going to inside pass you, and that's all I'm going to do. I'm going to sit here, and I'm not going to adjust the grip. Like she will try to outside pass. She will try to long step pass. She does a whole collection of passes, and I like to see that with athletes' young career, because usually what it'll be is like, Cassia Mora is going to be highly dynamic for the majority of her career. And she's never, if you get the black belts like that, you're not ever going to sit and like, cool, here's the 3 things that I do well, and that's all I do. It's very nice to see like the level of activity she put up in this match.
Yeah, agreed.
Female lightweight,
it was a fun match. It definitely was a fun match to watch, even though it wasn't high scoring and wasn't very, as we would look at as eventful. It was this attack, defend. It was entertaining. I liked it.
Moving on to lightweight, we had closeout. Zargava takes it. I don't like closeouts. We'll talk about that at the end. Middleweight, we had Larissa Martins versus Amanda Schultz. This was a footlock at the beginning, followed by double donkey guard, or not, like reversed closed guard for the entirety of the match, with Larissa looking for that toe hold and looking for attacks the entire time. But it was like, 6 or 7 minutes, 6 minutes or so of that for her to take it on points. I sometimes wish IBJJF matches were shorter. Again, stuff is happening here, but it was very protracted.
Hey man, 6 minutes I think is that sweet spot. Sometimes
I really think it is.
Maybe the 6 minutes, man, you can go all out. If I can go all out for 6 minutes, I know the pros can.
Yep. Move on to medium heavyweight division.
10 minutes is way too long. Way too much time.
They get long. Medium heavyweight division, we have Denise Cron versus Ingrid Alves. This was a funny match because we saw Denise almost get Brazilianed. Denise early has a double. She's not going to get this. Ingrid Alves gets aggressive with her inside passing, and Denise locks up a triangle, but with both arms in. Like, you're never going to get it. And then I was like, okay, she's going to waste some time here. And then you see Denise sort of like start going for the weird mirror lock, like the other side Americana mirror lock from that position. And I went, she's not going to get that. And I watched her keep going. I was like, and I watched the angle get changed. And I went, she might get this. And it turned from like a time waster to there's a legitimate arm lock attempt here that Ingrid Alves is going to have to defend. And she does. She defends for 6 minutes of this match, like a huge piece, maybe longer in this match. I didn't write down how long she defended this for. Gets out, and then the match really, nothing happens in that match. It goes to decision. And I was like, okay, this has been Denise with the footlock. And then the most of the match, Ingrid Alves has been defending this triangle, Americana mirror lock combination. And then the center judge gives it to Ingrid Alves, and I went, what the fuck? And then the two side judges give it to Denise, and I went, okay, that makes sense. But it was it would have been wild to have the result be the other direction. With
dude, what match are you watching exactly?
Yeah, with how long Ingrid Alvad had to defend this. Again, IBJJF scoring criteria is different, but man, it would have been one of those like, yeah, technically in the rules, but yeah, Denise, I think absolutely was the correct decision here. It was pretty embarrassing to see the center judge not give it to her, given the match that we all just saw. So didn't get Brazilian, which is a rarity. And I always like to call out when we see it happen live. Moving on to the next match. Any comments on it?
No, I'm glad she didn't get Brazilian. I'm glad they gave her the match that she earned.
Next one, we have Yara Soares versus Annabelle Lopez Beard. Yara has a really cool sweep early. It's like not an octopus guard. She kind of gets octopus guarded out of it. Gets the points. And then you see her kind of in top passing position, kind of low. And they cut to Azaki Bahensa's face because he's cornering her. And then you see her kind of like just sit, kind of get pushed and sit back down. And then you see Azaki for like a half a second make a face like, like visibly like I think the face is, why did you do that? Was the face he makes. Again, Yara is able to get the 2 points back way at the end. But it was very telling from her coach. It was just a weird, at this level for me, it was a very weird, what I would say is a tactical error of like, you're up 2 points. You really were not required to sit back down there to give the 2 for Annabelle. And Annabelle comes up, takes her points again, so they're even. It just seemed like it seemed like an unforced error in that match. Yeah. And she takes it. And again, the sweep game is cool. We get to see her do the same like sweep, hand grip, sweep, stand up, which is, I think, we're seeing more and more of that. We also see it in the Cole Abate versus Kennedy Masael match. Like in the gi, man, you need those grips. And that wrestle up with the grips to kind of drum them over with the single seems to be the meta for getting those wrestle up 2 points nowadays. But it was just a really interesting unforced error from Soares that she was able to correct here and get it done. But Bahensa's face of just going, when it happens, made me chuckle, and I wanted to call it out. Even though that I hate that Flo will go to anything other than the match during the match. And there's a men's match that somebody should get fired for what they were doing, but that happens. Female Gaia Pisana versus Mariana Carano. It's a smother tap. I don't know why women keep trying to pass Pisana close range double unders.
Yeah, that's a mistake.
It's
big mistake.
I don't know why. And she kind of, remember, to her credit, almost gets it done. She does change her passing style a little bit, but then absolutely just gets overwhelmed by Pisana's top pressure. Once Pisana gets on top, not able to get a guard back. It seems like, as interesting it is, Pisana likes to start in the guard, but it does seem to be where she actually has the least amount of success, where people are like the closest, having the closest match with her. And then as soon as Pisana's on top of you, it is just game over for almost everyone. And it's very interesting. Like that is how she decides to play it. She wins almost everything, but it's just very interesting. I think we're seeing more people have a little more success with her in the guard. And I will be curious as her division continues to develop if that starts getting capitalized on. But yeah, it's a smother tap from a big person, super heavyweight. Moving on.
That was interesting. That was an interesting fight, though. I want to say one thing. It took, she submitted her with about 2 minutes left, but it was a pretty straightforward one-way traffic match. Because it really was. She pulls guard. These are my notes. Pulls guard, sweeps, guard pass, mount, side control, mount, smother. And that's pretty much what it was. It was one-way traffic all the way. You could just tell the match was never in question.
Yeah, so, it was super, super dominant. I don't want to take it to make it was a super dominant performance, and I do appreciate, as much as I kind of throw shade at some pieces of Pisana's game, I do appreciate the frequency in which she submits people in the finals. It is very nice to see and refreshing from someone in the heavier weight classes to not just be taking the overpowering win of like, I'm bigger, I'm stronger, I put you here and remove. I really do appreciate Pisana like putting people away. just some of the technical ways, some of the technique that she chooses, it befuddles me a little bit. Moving on to the open.
I think as of recently, I think her trying to engage in the legs, that's where it's kind of like she may need. I think she has other strengths in her game. I think she's obviously working on the leg game, which is great. And I think that might be what we've been seeing more prominently lately, that she's probably been displaying in part, as far as her game's concerned, is her evolution into the leg game, which I can definitely appreciate. But compared to the rest of her game, it probably has a little bit more work to do on her leg game as opposed to the rest of her game. So
yeah,
you know,
I think that's a good.
So and when
that's
she
a nice
pulls
way
guard,
to put
she
that.
tries to engage. I mean, when she pulls guard, she's trying to engage in the legs a little bit more, and you can see that. But when she doesn't, and when she gets the side control mount top, it's pretty much a wrap.
Yeah, she forces the back, and then she gets the choke, with lapel, which is like a constant way she finishes in finals matches. So let's talk about Pisana again in her match with Sarah Gavao. Controversial take. I think Sarah won this match. I do not think that Pisana should have gotten the advantage for her footlock attempt because it didn't really. I don't think that what Sarah Gavao was required to do should have been seen as defensive reactions. She was doing positional work to stand back up on the foot, but I do not think, and that is a defensive reaction that you can do to stop getting footlocked, but it was more, I think, repositional work than like that footlock. She wasn't going to get that footlock. Pisana wasn't going to get the footlock, and I think it was weird to get, she got an advantage for that footlock. And then you see Sarah has the much better passing attempt. And she, again, Pisana, to her credit, makes Sarah wheelbarrow, but isn't really able to capitalize on it. And then the match ends with Sarah Gavao actively looking for a sweep into a pass and then into a back cover to try to get hips behind in what I thought of should have been an advantage. So they're both tied 1-1 advantage, and then Pisana gets the second advantage for the footlock that I don't think she should have gotten. And I think Sarah should have gotten an advantage for the final sequence. I can see why she didn't, but you can make an argument here. I think Sarah Gavao should have won this. And she reacted like she won it. And I think that was very telling because Sarah Gavao was 4 weight classes below Pisana, and Pisana had very little success in the guard once Sarah was able to break her grip off. Pisana struggled to get the grip back in again. It speaks to just how good Sarah Gavao is, because women in Pisana's weight class, next to Pisana's weight class below that, have had no success versus Pisana in the gi, and Sarah Gavao arguably could have won this match or won this match. It just really speaks to, I think, like Sarah Gavao's 18 now. I think Sarah Gavao is going to be that woman at the top for a very long time in the gi.
I agree. She's trending right now, and she's competing with the elite of the elite right now. And when she does lose, it's a close loss. She's not getting blown out. When she wins, it's obvious. So I think she should have won this as well. I think all through Euros, what I've been seeing with the trend was that judge was quick to give out advantages and points, but it wasn't consistent, so it makes you kind of wonder.
Yeah, it's just that it's when you fight the small margins, the IBJJF makes it like difficult. Again, I appreciate advantages for what they are, but sometimes it's like combat sports are odd to ref and judge. It's just, it's just a little frustrating.
Have you noticed her last couple of, I think, Nogi World, she had trouble with Elizabeth Clay. And right here, just in Euros, she had trouble with Sarah Gavao. So she's having trouble with those elite, smaller ladies.
Yes.
I'm seeing in absolutes. And that's kind of like, it's interesting. It's something that's like, we'll see how this develops. But we'll see how it develops.
I'm curious if Pisana will. I'm curious how the arms race is going to go in that for Pisana. Because she absolutely has the tools and has the camp behind her to fix those problems and be super dominant as the heavier woman. But also, if she doesn't develop her game, you can absolutely see the younger talent in someone like Sarah Gavao being able to capitalize and go, yep, I'm 18, 19 now. And I think Pisana's very young. I think Pisana's early 20s, but absolutely be able with Andre Gavao as your dad. Absolutely, you have one of the best game planners of ever as your father. It would be
and athletes
shocking.
and athletes of all time.
It would be shocking to me to not have that match go differently in 2 years. Because Sarah Gaval is going to absolutely continue to develop her game now that she's a brand new black belt under the tutelage of her father and Angelica.
And I see her getting bigger and stronger as well. She's only 18. She hasn't even grown into her body yet.
Absolutely agree, and it'll be interesting. I doubt she will finish her career at lightweight.
No.
Seeing her finish her medium or even medium heavy wouldn't surprise me. Or sorry, middle or heavy.
It was amazing. It was amazing to see her explode that last 30 seconds.
Yeah, man, that leg drag pass that she hit.
Like, oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It reminded me of her dad back in the day in ADCC. Like just being able to have that kick to go like late in the match, you're tired, and just not have it matter. It was very, very neat. I've not seen that before.
You saw her smiling too. She was laughing the whole time. When I saw her, I was like, she had her in the headlock. I'm like, she's smiling right now.
Having a good time, man.
You could tell she sensed that she was winning that match, especially with that.
Yeah. So very, very impressive. Again, Pisana takes a couple of gold. Yeah. Gaval takes gold and silver at division and absolute. Let's move on to the men. Any closing thoughts on the women before we do this, Corey?
No, not at all. Very exciting.
Moving on, let's start with the men's roosterweight division. Jalen Fonacier versus Tadaya Danforth. Tadaya's a local guy to us, so it does suck to see him lose, but holy shit, man. Jalen is good. Dude is just incredible. Up 11-0 before the sub. Dude, he does. You watch anything from Euros. Watch Pisana and Gaval, because it'll be an interesting benchmarking match in 5 years. That match will be historic. Watch this match, man. Jalen Fonacier, early in this match, hits a pass, like a knee-cut pass to mount on Tadaya that is just incredible. And you see him look at the camera like, yeah. After he does it, it was like, oh, this dude knows he's going to win, man. And he knows Tadaya's good, and he knows it's not going to matter. It's just wild to see, like, a guy feeling himself so much in a finals match of a European championship. The transition he makes over to the initial armbar is good. He gets out. The finishing sequence is amazing. Like, this is incredible. This is the match where I was like, they should fire the DP, because there's two pieces in this match where they cut to the crowd. One is where the initial transition over the armbar happens. They cut to the crowd and then cut back, and he's like on the arm. You're like, okay, cool. That is rooster weight. This is a very quick transition, and now I couldn't see what happened. And then they cut away to the crowd again during the sub. And it's just like, okay, whoever is DP, director of photography, or principal photographer, depending on how they do it and how it's done, and is cutting to crowd shots, and not doing picture-in-picture, just open cutting to crowd shots during a Roosterweight Finals match, like, you should fire that guy. It is wild. It's like you essentially missed the goal of a soccer match, or like the field goal of a football, because you were in the crowd. Like, what? And they don't have replay, so we just can't see it now. So it's like, what are you doing? That is. It would be like during a UFC fight, cutting to, not even cutting to the coaches. They're just cutting to crowd shots, cutting to crowd reactions during a fight. It is just something you don't do, and it's wild in 2026 that it's happening. And as a result, we get this we're missing two pieces of this Roosterweight match that I would like to see, and because they were interesting, because they're neat transitions that I just don't get to see because somebody thought they should cut to the crowd during a match. And we've talked about it for years, and it pisses me off every time it happens because it keeps happening. And it's like it's a thing you just don't do in sports broadcasting, so I have no idea why they keep doing it. So that's my rant. Light featherweight. Anything else on this, Corey?
No, just real quick. We saw Fonacier in UFC BJJ, and we just saw how good he was, and he's just very eager, very hungry. And if I do recall correctly, he trains with Mikey. He trains with Mikey, right?
I'm gonna get this wrong. He's Alliance, probably, because Kennedy is Alliance and Mikey's Alliance now.
He called out. Who did he call out? Was it Mikey? He called everyone. He said, but he wouldn't call out. I think it was Mikey.
Probably would have. If he's Roosterweight, probably would have been Mikey then.
Same weight. He's in the same weight class, and he respects him too much. I could be wrong as far as he called it, but
had to be Mike. I don't remember this. because I do skip sometimes some of the post fights if we're tight for time on the show. But yeah, I would guess it would have been not calling out Mikey because he's Rooster. Mikey has a world title at light feather and at Rooster, so it would make sense. And Mikey's champion at 35 right now.
Gotcha. But he blazed it in UFC BJJ. So seeing his match here didn't surprise me.
No,
didn't surprise me how he won.
Dude is incredible in this match, man. Lightweight, light feather. We have a closeout. AOJ, Pato, and Gustavo Oega. It's a closeout. Who cares? Featherweight. One of the matches that got a lot of people talking. The rematch between Kennedy Masael and Kolobate. This match was super boring until the last 20 seconds. It's 3 double pulls, and then the final double pull, Kolobate comes up for the top position. There's a sweep, re-sweep, and then it is Abate on the bottom, doing what he does, playing guard, looking real good, up on advantages because he came up on that. He came up on that, and then got back to the bottom essentially, and he's up on points. And Kennedy goes, "Not today, my guy." Yep. And in one of the wildest shows of will, time is on the clock, 20 seconds left. I was like, there's no way he gets this done. There's no way in 20 seconds he scores on Kolobate. Dude does it. Dude turns him over, gets it, runs him down for the 2 points with that collar sleeve, or pant sleeve, pant collar grip to get that run over double leg or single leg, essentially. It gets it done with literally 20 seconds. They give him the points pretty quickly for it, but just incredible to have him be able to score that in 20 seconds on a guy like Kolobate from AOJ. Again, but you're Cobrinia's son. It makes sense you'd be able to do that. You can skip everything of the match except for the last 40 seconds. Watch that. Incredible moment between these two guys.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. And I think maybe the sense of urgency came from they both got three penalties for
the double
pulls and what have you. So they both had to be active because if they got one more, then they got DQ'd.
Yeah.
So,
but this match could have been 2 minutes. It didn't need to be. The preceding 8 minutes functionally really didn't matter.
It was boring.
Yeah, super boring.
Yeah, it was pretty boring.
And it's,
that last minute,
but
2 minutes was pretty good.
Yeah,
but it was. But to be honest with you, that last minute to minute and a half was worth the price of admission. You know what I'm saying? It was worth that previous 8.5.
It was because for me, you know the history of the athletes. Like Kennedy has one on Cole already. It's Alliance versus AOJ. It is Cobrinha versus the Mendez brothers again, and you're like, oh, this is the prodigy and the son of those two camps and those two teams going at it again, and you're like, oh, it's cool to see this 15 years later in the same in the same back and forth of these same really thin margins at the same division. So it was cool. It was a cool matchup from that perspective. But Kennedy takes it in a show of heart at the end, man.
Yeah, and I think this came down to, from what the commentators were saying, this was a rubber match. It was 1-1. Kennedy had last year in Euros. Cole won the crown last year. Yep. So this is all right. Who's going to win this? And maybe they were playing kind of tight because neither one wanted to show too much or give anything too early. Yeah. Just to not lose. So
I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense. It just, for me, the tactics of it made sense. It just wasn't super exciting because you knew you have to play this way. And it is just not I understand it. It's interesting, but it is not exciting. Yeah. And those are two different things. You watch enough jiu-jitsu, you're like, yeah, it's interesting, but it is not exciting. I understand why, and I'm like, yeah, it's interesting that they're doing it this way and they're playing it this way, but it's not exciting.
Yeah. So, and I'm not a double guard pull kind of guy. That really just run. I mean, I'm once again, I'm an older grappler. I've been known to pull guard, but I've been working on my stand up lately. But it's to see double guard pulls all the time. It's like, come on, man, get up. Get up. No. Come on. I know it's a way.
The three of it to bleed. The problem with this one is it bleeds 6 minutes off the clock. And you're I get it. I understand tactically, but it's this match just could be shorter and you get to see the last minute and a half of this match that mattered, because that's the margin they're going to play for at the end. And it's like they're both just trying to burn for that last score. And it was phenomenal. That last score was phenomenal. But it was like we did have to sit through 8 minutes of it not being phenomenal to like for them to play the game and then to finally get it done. So, yeah. Let's move on. Let's talk about lightweight. This is Will Wilson versus Matteo Cardano. This is an X-guard sweep. Will Wilson gets an X-guard sweep, and then Matteo Cardano is looking for subs at the start, looking for subs at the end. My note is kind of feels like the wrong guy won, but you win on points. Like, again, Will Wilson, to his credit, absolutely wins with that X-guard sweep, gets the 2 points. Matteo is not able to, bring it back. He wins 2-0, but it just felt like, man, in any other rule set than IBJJF, Matteo, like, handily takes this one on activity, submission activity, aggression, like the modern rule sets that pretty much everyone else uses other than IBJJF. It was just interesting kind of in the newer landscape of professional grappling versus like the amateur style of IBJJF. It's like kind of watching like amateur boxing versus professional boxing. It's like very different scoring criteria. We're starting to really see that divergence where it's like, yeah, Will Wilson absolutely wins this in the context of IBJJF, but I think Matteo in like a professional bout would absolutely take this on any cards that were like available. So interesting. Again, but it is very interesting to kind of watch the sport diverge further and further and further. But again, Will Wilson takes it. He does absolutely what he needs to do to win in IBJJF.
Rule set.
Yep. Next one. Talk about middleweight. Tynan Daupra versus Jose Steve.
Woo, if you blink, you might miss it, bro. It was a pretty quick match.
My note, boy built like a gorilla. Dude, Tynan looks, that sweep that he hits initially, you're just like, dude, what are we all doing in this sport? You just watch Tynan just like, I'm taking you over. Just goes, boom, boom, just dump Steve
Straight
over.
up. Boom.
Like from the belt grip,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
overhead, like it was wild to have this happen in a European finals in a pretty stacked division. Like, Steve is not a pushover grappler, and Daupra just made it look like it was my title, but boom, like, it is wild to have a guy in your division that is just like that level and then put it on display like this in a finals match. Tynan gets the cross-collar choke before he finishes getting the back. Like, he gets this in transition to the back, like, kind of doesn't even look concerned about the position. He, like, gets the choke as he's passing, sort of kind of gets near the back, and then finished it. You're just like, he is just so wildly good. It is odd, almost.
It's uncanny. I mean, it was basically that the match was 4 different positions, I think. Sweep, guard pass, transition. I guess you can call it 3, maybe 3 to 4. Transition to back, and then choke. That was pretty much it. And it happened within 2.5 minutes. It was
it that long?
Yeah, it was pretty quick. Yeah, I think he
Wow,
like
I had that way
7:24
shorter.
left.
Wow,
It was
I had that-
7:24 left.
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah, man.
I think he kind of sat in a double under position for like almost 30 to 45 seconds.
Maybe that's what it was.
Boy.
Okay. Yeah, right. That was before the sweep happens. Steve is sitting there under and like looking to get some grip together so that he can lift in like double under pass or like deadlift pass or something, and then Daupra just ratchets him down with that belt grip and then just sweeps him over with it. Just again, super
It's kind of like when we train, man. You just kind of dump me over.
This is
I'm like, damn, bro.
This is very funny because I hit you with this. I want to say like within the last month or two of us training you did this exact same thing to me, and I did this to you, and it was a warm up round for both of us, but it was funny because we had a dialogue, and I watched him. I was like, I feel like Corey and I did this round like a month ago in the same way. But yeah, man, Daupra is just. I think again, my money is on he grand slams it this year. If he looks this good at Euros, man, unless something happens again at Worlds, which consistently does happen at Daupra, something weird happens at Worlds. If he can pass the test, man, I think this is another grand slam for him. So wildly
He can stay
impressive.
healthy this year. Last year his hand was bothering him, but he can stay healthy.
Yeah.
I don't see anyone stopping him, man.
Yep.
It's Tynan.
Yeah.
It's kind of.
Medium heavyweight division, Eduardo Alves versus Luis Mensik. This is points. Really nifty rollover pass. It's like there's a name for it, and I don't remember the name for it. It's been what I've been using a lot recently. Is basically you get their weight over committed when they're trying to settle you on top, and you just sort of roll underneath them. And then he comes up on top with it with 45 seconds left, gets it. Kind of similar in style to like Abate versus Kennedy in the same way where it's like a very, very late sweep that just, you can't return and you take it 4-2. So it was like very funny to have the light feather and the medium heavyweight division finish with the same points in a very, very similar, with different sweep completely. But just very similar, like, 45 seconds left. Low scoring match that gets rescored, and then Eduardo Alves is able to take it for Alliance. So
Yeah, you really don't see that from the bigger guys. You know, what I mean, it's kind of like almost like a smaller guy game, last minute sweep. But it's kind of cool to see though.
Mm-hmm. Moving on to the heavyweight division, Renato Ferreira versus Mateus Veterashi. This is one of the most badass finishes at Euros. Leonardo Ferreira gets the choke, belly down, almost at the edge of the barrier area, with Mateus Vettori's head like bleeding onto the mat because they'd stopped it earlier due to a headbutt, got it done, and then in the fight, it was pretty badass. It was like, ooh, this feels like it used to feel, where it's like not all cleaned up, not all dolled up, and then he kind of puts out Mateus a little bit, like face down. And you see him like do the thing where somebody's obviously unconscious for a second, and he doesn't like fully like lay down, but you can tell that like he is obviously like unconscious for a second in this. But just a badass finish on just the blood on the mat and everything. So Leonardo Ferreira takes the heavyweight division for the men. Anything on that one?
No, it's pretty badass though. It kind of offsets some of the other slower matches.
Yeah.
So I appreciated it. Yeah.
Last one. I think this is all we got because we got closeouts after this. Is super heavyweight. We have Vinicius Liberi versus Harrison Pereira. Let's see. Oh yeah, this is a bad match. 3 penalties. Basically, Harrison Pereira gets tied up on top, trying to pass Vinicius, not doing enough in the eyes of the refs and judges. Gets 3 penalties, which gives 2 points to Vinicius.
Yeah.
That is the match. Was not a great finals match. We have a closeout at ultra heavy. Seif takes that over Pedro Alex. And then we have an open class closeout. Gabriel takes that over Eric Muniz. Insert one of the years that I bitch about closeouts. I don't think they should be a thing. It basically cheapens the entire result of the sport, especially when you have this many closeouts. Like, you just got to start fighting these guys that are on the same team, like ADCC does, so they meet in the quarters. Like, hey man, if you want to close out, that's awesome. You can totally do it, but you got to close out in the quarters. And the problem that comes with that is that then guys get a walkover and have one less match and are less tired, and so it gives them an advantage. And there's other problems that come with that. But realistically, you can do it what World Pro does, and it's like, hey man, only 2 guys from a team, they can be in a bracket, and they got to go first. And then it's like, either that team fields less guys in that bracket, and then it's only an early match that you skip, and plenty of guys have buys or not, so it doesn't really mess with the bracketing that much. But it's kind of embarrassing that a sport allows for this many closeouts, because it's just like, yeah, he didn't win. You gave it to him, so it's like it cheapens the legitimacy of that title in my eyes, because no other sport does that. Every sport you got to fight for it, or you got to compete for it, or in some way. It's just a weird thing that we do that I think is makes it shitty. So that's my rant. That's a much abbreviated rant because I've been having the same rant. Josh and I've been doing this for 10 years now, having the same rant about closeouts. But here we are. So Corey, any final kind of closing thoughts on Euros? Any closing thoughts on Polaris 35?
I'm looking forward to Polaris 35 Euros. It's kind of hit or miss, but I think for the most part, there are a lot of entertaining finals matches. Yeah. There was a match that I want to call out. What was it? Kennedy versus Seif in Open.
I haven't
That
seen it
was an
yet.
interesting match.
Was it good?
And Kennedy pulled guard, man. He pulled guard in that match.
What
And
are
I'm
you
like,
gonna do? I'm not gonna.
whoa.
So Seif, by the way, is the guy that Mikey went against a couple years ago. That's like he's like I think, is he 600? 400.
Oh, he's a big dude.
He's a
He's
dude. Big
huge.
dude. And he frequently goes against the guys that are like the little guys. Because again, for some reason, Euros is the one where the small guys enter an absolute. Because you're like, I'm already out here, I got nothing to lose. Yeah, but I want to say so he pulls on Seif. Which why would you try to take Seif down? You're not gonna take Seif down.
And it's basically the whole time he spent just pretty much it frames up in guard, bottom guard. I'm sorry, not bottom guard, but Seif was basically he obviously couldn't get close guard on him, but he was basically on the bottom with his frames, pretty much holding his weight or on his side for the entire match. And you can tell when the match was over, he just laid there. I'm like, yeah, bro, you've been supporting that weight for it was like 10 minutes.
Yep.
Like,
dude, go back and watch Mikey's match, man. That's, again, I really wish, and I talked about last week, I really wish they would do what they should be doing, which is splitting those weight classes, man. You know, middle and lower, or like lightweight and lower, and middle and up, because it's like the little guys aren't going to win, and they're just taking career-ending damage trying to like fight for these matches that they're just not going to win. It's just like Kennedy's not going to win that match. There's no shot in hell he wins that match, and if he does, it's like a fluke. It's not repeatable, and he's going to potentially take massive injury because like he's outweighed by 300 pounds. You're like,
he was inverted, and some of that time he was actually inverted. I mean, you can tell he was just like, "Ooh, dude, what are you
it does
doing?
Huge
But I was rooting for him. I was rooting
for him. Man,
I thought he was gonna pull something out of the hat the last moment, but you can just tell it was literally too much for him.
Yeah.
But I thought that was an interesting match.
Yep. So yeah, man, that does it. Again, hopefully the audio will be fixed for next week. We'll get this roads plowed here in Maryland, and then we'll go back to normal. Again, apologies if this audio is absolutely cooked, doing the best that we can given the circumstances. You can see the other side of the studio space this week because I just couldn't even try to get this set up. This is the first remote recording show that we've done in this space, and I just didn't anticipate doing it, so it took about 2.5 hours more than it usually takes to get everything set up this week to try to get this working out. So, again, apologies if the audio is scuffed. Going to do the best that we can. But, as always, I'm your host, Maine. It's my co-host.
Sorry.
And we are the Grappling Reruns. And no matter what it is, stay safe. If you like the show, please consider sharing it on Facebook with the folks at your gym. It's the best way that we grow the show, and we really appreciate it. You can reach out to us on email.
We also have Instagram. We have Facebook. We have Twitter. We have Google+.
Until that shuts down.
We have a website.
If you have an event you would like to have us cover, please let us know. If you have a name, like most people do, and you'd like to have us stop butchering it,
let us know.
Reach out to us. The show is also available on YouTube, Spotify, in addition to iTunes and every other podcast service. We very much appreciate your time, and thank you.